everybody, and thank you for joining this webinar. Here today with us, a guest from a company called Olio Roi. As I mentioned to you, Mr. Boeri is here with us from Olio Roi. He's a communications manager for Olio Roi company, a producer of high quality oil from Liguria, Italy. And I am founder and director of Friend of the Sea, Friend of the Earth, which are certification programs of the World Sustainability Organization. Friend of the Sea certifies products of sustainable fisheries and aquaculture, and Friend of the Earth products from sustainable agriculture and farming. Over 1,000 companies from more than 100 countries worldwide have products certified by our programs. So let's have a look at the world olive oil market, and we can see that olive oil production is just part of major production of over 10 important vegetable oils, which has grown threefold from 1990 to 2010. But the major growth has occurred in the production of palm oil, soybean oil, and rapeseed oil. This growth has continued also in more recent years, as you can see. And if we look at the pie chart of the total tons of vegetable oil production and how it's broken down, we see that soya oil and palm oil cover more than 50% of the production. And while soy oil represents 26% of the production in tons, it needs over 60% of the total acres, the total area for its production. So this, of course, is something very relevant when looking at the potential impact of soya oil production. But focusing on olive oil, this is a production that dates back 8,000 years. And we know also that some of these years are over 2,000 or 3,000 years old. So these are become part of the ecosystem in those areas where these plantations exist in around the Mediterranean basin mainly. And we all know the health benefits of olive oil, which have been confirmed by several studies, including a recent one, which confirmed that it's beneficial for human health, and particularly for the prevention of cardiovascular diseases, breast cancer, and type 2 diabetes. If we look at the location of the olive oil production, it is of course around the Mediterranean basin, mainly in Italy, Spain, Greece, and partly also in France. And in the United States, it is mainly found in California, and then elsewhere around the globe in Australia and South America. We see that Spain plays a very important role, and unfortunately in the more recent years, Italian production has been impacted by environmental factors such as frost, and as well as the Xylella disease. The Xylella is a bacterium which determines what is called as olive quick decline syndrome. It started in 2013 in the heel of Italy in Puglia, and it generates withering and desiccation of trees, in particular those older trees. It then spread to Corsica, France, Germany, and Spain. And it is believed that by improving agronomic practices, its spread can be reduced in the future. If we look at per capita consumption by country, we can see that Greece has the highest consumption, 20 times higher than the US, for example. But countries like the US, Japan, UK, Germany are catching up rapidly, and in recent years, their consumption per capita and their total consumption has grown dramatically, while those historically more prone to consuming olive oil have somehow stagnated or even decreased in their consumption. If we look at olive oil production, there are major differences between countries as these use different types of production which have different impacts, such as the traditional press production, the two-phase and the three-phase, as we will learn more about the environmental impact in the next slides. In fact, let's look at the environmental impact of olive oil production. We can see that when compared to other vegetable oils, and the most updated study and the most comprehensive literature review study which we found, it looks like its impact in terms of emissions, energy consumption, and use of fertilizer, we're talking here about extra virgin olive oil, is much lower than other oils like soybean, sunflower oil. So it looks like it's performing well in terms of environmental impact, but some studies kind of disagree with that. There are different information. For example, this one basically places olive oil production in terms of environmental performance right in the middle between some which have lower impact and some which have higher impact. Interesting to see how palm oil seems to have a lower impact, even though it's relatively low land use per ton, is impacting areas with very high biodiversity, with pristine forests, so this has to be taken into consideration. Let's look at an example, and of course these values vary depending from company to company, of the potential impact of production of 1 liter of extra virgin olive oil. We see that, for example, from this study, and again, we cannot really generalize, there is a potential water consumption of 8 liters per 1 liter of oil. There's production of solid waste, several kilos, and wastewater, energy consumption and production of 22 kilos of CO2. However, recent studies have also highlighted the contribution in capturing CO2 of olive trees, which some estimate to be around 10 kilograms per liter. So this would compensate with the CO2 emission, but not with the other emissions. The impact, of course, depends, when we look at the life cycle, depends also on the different alternative production methods. So on the field, there's a different impact depending whether it is irrigated or not irrigated or intensive. And also, as we explained, there are different impacts depending on the decanting process, two-phase or three-phase or press, and so on, going all the way to considering alternatives use of waste bottles. So most of the studies we have seen conclude that the three-phase system has more negative impacts, at least potentially, and the two-phase system, which is like a technical, more recent innovation, has a lower impact and lower use of water. There are, of course, suggestions about methodologies to reduce or to manage in a sustainable way the oil mill waste. And here are some suggestions. So moving from three-phase to two-phase, for example, seems to be a good solution. The detoxification of the waste, recovery or recycling. Of course, the potential impact depends also on the type of packaging that is used, and it seems like from this study that the total impact of use of glass is lower than the use of PET, plastic. There are other impacts which recently surfaced also in the news, which have to be tackled and taken into consideration. For example, millions of birds seem to be killed by nighttime harvesting area, and this is an issue that has to be looked more in depth, and NGOs are now suggesting harvesting only during the daytime. We have launched in 2016 a certification program, Friend of the Earth, which aims to highlight those products, including olive oil, for example, which originate from a more sustainable production and a production that is also taking into account social accountability. The audits are carried out looking at different potential impacts and verifying conformity with a set of requirements related to the protection of the ecosystem and wildlife, reduction of waste, water and energy use, and social accountability. There's already a group of oils which have been certified, including, for example, olive from grape seeds and other olive oils. And one of these, the first one who received the Friend of the Earth certification is Olio Roi. So I'll pass the microphone to Paolo Boeri of Olio Roi to tell us a bit more about their production.
Hello, hi to everyone. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So, I'm Paolo from Olio Roi, as Paolo said, introduced me. We have a company, a really family business that's precisely there where the red dot is. We are in the extreme west of Liguria, so northwest Italy. It's a special area because it's the area where Taggiasca olive are born. Our agriculture, it's really, really difficult because we live in a mountain ground. So everything is really steep, and we can grow the olive just thanks to the terraces built in 1,000 years. So it's a long job to give us the possibility to grow something and make the nature something good and better, always with respect. We manage around 11,000 trees of Taggiasca olive. They are all spread all over the valley. So our olive grove starts from the sea properly, like 60 meters, 50 meters above the sea level, till 600 meters. So as you can imagine, it's a really, really big difference that gave us the possibility to pick all the olives at the right grade of maturation without being in a hurry, because we can start in October from the sea and month by month rising up and keep the olives always at the same grade of maturation. That's our family. So we are four now. Actually, me and my sister are the fifth generation. We started in 1900 our business with a really small mill, and we are still happy in Badalucco, so our small villages, 1,200 inhabitants, 10 minutes from the sea. That village is properly in the heart of the Valle Argentina, so surrounded by olive grove everywhere. We still have our own museum with the first mill, so that's a really important piece for us, because people can come and visit all the production. Tradition is important, but also the innovation is at the base of a good product. That's why we like to work also with Friend of the Earth, because that gave us the possibility to follow some rules, important rules, to respect the environment and work at our best to give our customer the best product we can. So clean and precise and respectful for the nature. Our mill is all modern now, so we just changed the mill. We did a big investment to have new machine that can avoid leaking of water or losing olive oil or the fruit. So much more efficient machine to work in a faster way the olives and give a better product. The cold pressing and the cold extraction is at the base of our way of production. So we never warm up the paste up to 27 degrees. So that's the maximum it reach, and that's the temperature where the olive oil can be extracted. Otherwise, will remain inside the micro bags contained inside the olive. So they need the bags contained inside the olive. So they need the temperature and a bit of work, chemical work, natural chemics, to extract this product. It's really fast and just mechanical production. Here, there are some of the points, Friend of the Earth certified by us. So we try to work all in a really good way without using chemical in our farm. Everything is controlled by the nature. We just try to help the nature to work better with maybe some water and some natural fertilization when they need. Like, for example, we can use the leaf of the olives to make fertilization for the trees. So it's 100% natural and it's the same sensibility. So we don't modify any habitat. In our olive grove, there are also wild boar that live, birds, and as Paolo said before, in Italy and in Spain, there were some places where the birds died because of the picking, but our picking, it's all handmade, trees by tree. So there's no possibility to kill any kind of animal. The dripping irrigation helps us to give a bit of power and energy to the trees when they need it, especially here, because in summertime it could be really hot, like today, we can be like 35 Celsius. And so sometimes they need the water, but just some drops. In that way we can control everything. Organic fertilizer, of course, is the base of our job. So we invest a lot of money every year to find new solutions and always work on organic stuff that really help the nature and help us to work better and better. The flora and the fauna are really important for us. That's why in our olive grove we don't use anything chemical, so we can preserve all the environment around us. Because the nature is our boss, we must respect her. Otherwise, she can decide to stop working for us or working with us. All the terraces keep up entire mountains, so it's a really hard job because all the terraces are made without any cement, are just made by rocks, put it together by our ancient, and now they still keep the mountain, but they need help, and that's why every year we restore meters and meters and meters of walls to keep the mountain safe and clean for the production. The wastewater we can use, as I said before, the machine are really good and efficient. So the water contained inside the olives could be used with the leaf to make natural fertilization. And that's really good for us because we have a product that we produce and we can use. The same waste that can quit from an olive could be like the solid part, so the pulp, skin, and the seed. We are able to use the seed as comburant, so we warm up our agriturismo or the water we use to produce the olive oil thanks to the stone of the olive. So we make our own fuel without wasting anything. And that's the energy and the wood, of course, because when we prune the olives every year to make the trees more strong and safe, we produce a lot of olive wood that could be used to warm our houses or to make like barbecues, for example. This is really important, social accountability. So we always try to work with people here and make something good for all the environment, all the villages and out the valley that host us. All the employees are trained because, of course, to do a good job, you must study a lot. So we have people that study with us, and we always try to transfer to our guys all that knowledge. The awareness activities, of course, we travel a lot I travel a lot to spread all the knowledge we learn in 120 years of story. And we like when customer can came and visit us to understand our reality, that actually it's pretty different from a normal olive culture that people can know, because otherwise, because being on a mountain is totally different than work on a flat ground. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just a bit more difficult. That's in this image, you can see how we transport the olive till the tractor. So it's all handwork on the back of our guys, 25 kilos boxes with aeration. So in this way, the olives can breathe and stay fresh till the meal and till the production. We have an educational farm, so we can ask our customer and show them how we grow the olives, how we produce the olive, and it's really nice also to understand how to taste an olive oil. It's like the wine, so you can find a lot of perfumes, a lot of sensation inside. The most important thing is just understand the techniques. That's actually, it's pretty easy and funny to learn. With Friend of the Earth now, it's a pretty old and historical collaboration. So we are so happy that in 2004 we met Paolo, and my father decided to be part of Friend of the Earth, and we are really proud to be the first companies in the olive oil being selected and certified by Friend of the Earth. That's helping a lot us to our customer to explain how we work, because they can have a solid certification that can read all the information about. And when they see it on our product, they are so happy to buy a product that actually makes something good for the environment. After the Friend of the Earth, we also have other certification. So we just get the ISO 9001. We have the PDO, so the Protected Denomination of Origin, one of the most important certification in the olive oil about traceability. So all our olives are controlled by a third part about the provenience. So you can turn back and came back till the farmer that grow the olives for us or till our farm. The bio, so the organic, it's really important. So we try to keep actually all our farm in organic cultivation. So we don't use any chemical, as I said before. And the FDA, it's pretty important because it's, as Americans are really strict on some rules, we are happy that it's like 20 years more or less that we work with the FDA in a really good way. So without having nothing bad and working in the best way. Thank you,
Paolo. And as you know, we had some technical issues on this webinar. So we finalized the recording and we will send it to all the people who registered for questions. And again, I wish to apologize to everybody for this technical inconvenience, and also to you, Paolo. But thank you very much for your great contribution. And thank you
for your explanation.
We'll be in touch for the question and answers.
I will be glad to reply. Thank you.